And good evening, everybody. Once again, welcome to Going nuCLEar, full-blown coverage of the land. I am Ethan Greenberg. I am here with my co-host, Madison Delaney, and joining us once again, the one and only Megan Donovan. Thank you very much for joining us, Megan. Madison, as always, great to have you here. And as you could probably hear, I'm feeling a little bit better than I was last week. That was a bit of a struggle.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, we're making progress here. Although the kids, they keep parentally sick here. You know, it's like you send them home, you get them home from school, and they just carry in the germs with them. It's like they've got the cloud around them, and the infection rate is ridiculous. I feel as though this winter I have had one cold after another, back to back to back to back to back. It's a bit ridiculous, folks. Going nuCLEar is presented by Buzz Sports CLE. You can follow me on Twitter at egreen4325. Follow Madison at madtravels24 and follow Megan at megand44. So Megan, thank you very much for joining us. And as always, we've got a lot going on in the land right now. As we join you, it's halftime or just about to start the third quarter of the Cavs. The showdown between the Cavs and the Grizzlies. Madison, what do you make of the broadcast? And Megan, you can comment on this as well. Them referring to Cleveland as a small market and Memphis as small market. I feel like that's a bit of a put down. And what's up with that?
I mean, yeah, you could consider it a put down. I feel like I will take the opinion of I'll wear it as a badge of honor because, we are a little bit smaller of a city than like your LAs or your New Yorks, I suppose. But we draw, when we're on national TV, I feel like we draw really well no matter which sport it is. So maybe they should stop referring to us as such. But it is what it is. We don't have the numbers to maybe back it up like a New York or an LA or a team like that. But, we watch our team and we wear it with pride no matter what, which I don't know that you can say of a lot of those big market teams.
Yeah, Megan, I don't know. I mean, we're obviously.
I'll go with what she said.
No. I mean, it's like we're obviously it's a great sports city. It's a great sports state. And I think that other than in baseball, where you have such a chasm between the top payrolls and the bottom payrolls, you don't see as much of a difference. We've got a full arena, for the Cavs. They've got a star-studded lineup. The Browns, they fill the stadium, even though they stink many years. But they're also not willing to spend, and that is obvious of what they did last year with the whole Deshaun Watson guaranteed contract, and it puts a lot of other teams under pressure, and that pressure. A couple things going here. Talking Browns, talking NFL. First of all, saw a press release or a little blurb earlier about the NFLPA released their top 5 players, all pro rankings today. And for running back, Nick Chubb voted number 2. For left guard, Batonio's number 1. Teller tied for 4th for right guard. And then Myles Garrett is number 2 for defensive end. And I mean, I would say that although sometimes it doesn't feel like it, I think the Browns are not that many players away from being able to compete. What say you?
I'll defer to Megan.
Sorry. You skipped out a little bit there.
I am sorry. Okay, I was saying that the Browns, they had a bunch of awards, the NFLPA.
Yeah.
And so I guess what I was saying is I think that we are not that many players away from being able to compete at the top. We're looking at the Eagles. We're looking at the Chiefs representing the AFC and the NFC in the Super Bowl. Would you say that, we're pretty close?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think on paper, we should already be there. And, we all know we were there 2 seasons ago. And we didn't really. I mean, and then you look at who was on the team then and who was our quarterback, and you go, all right, like where's this disconnect? So, I mean, yeah, on paper, I think we're there. I think I think we got to get the right leadership, I would say, in certain areas in place, and then I think like you can get the players that are like currently on the roster to kind of buy into this thing.
As you look at how the Eagles have come about, so they have made this turnaround so quickly with Jalen Hurts at the helm and under center. I mean, is that about the team? Is it the personnel? What do you guys think?
I would say a lot of that has to do with like the personnel, and I think like their coaches. I think when you have like coaching, like look, even like in Miami or even Jacksonville or something, like where you just like you're just like, wow, like this season they really exploded. I mean, you gotta take a look at all those coaches, and like those players, like they love those coaches, and I think especially this season, you heard it from our players, and they were very vocal about certain coaches and certain staff members or whoever they are. And I think that's something, and they did address it. Obviously, they got rid of our defensive coordinator and everybody like that. So, I mean, it again, I think it's just frustrating because you're like, we have such a talent is there. Like, why isn't it happening?
It is. It is. Madison, you have any thoughts on that about the Eagles' quick turnaround? And even as to Megan's point, Jacksonville, do you think it's mostly personnel, or do you think that simply making that, installing the right person at the top in the head coaching position down has made the difference there?
Yeah, I mean, I think the coaching staff is going to make a huge difference. In part because, I mean, I think they'll trust him and believe in him. He's a proven guy at this point. And I think, like, if we had even an average defense, we probably would have been in the playoffs at this point. And, obviously we fell short of that. And so we were not at an average defense, even though we have, I think, the talent at really every level. If you think about it, I mean, you've got Miles on the line, you've got JOK at linebacker. Obviously, we had some health issues at linebacker. And, we've got the corners, I think, to compete with, some of the top offenses in the NFL. And we just could not figure it out for whatever reason. I don't know if it's because we went too soft in our, defensive coverages, which I think is kind of a theme that people have seen throughout. I think that'll change, hopefully, under Schwartz. That's the general plan, I think. And he generally leads a line that gets a lot of sacks. So I'm really interested to see how he does with Miles. And I think that maybe will turn the tide of things.
Now, Megan, I know you told me before you have some thoughts about changes in personnel that they could or should make on the defensive side of the ball. What have you? What are your insights?
Yeah, I think JOK his rookie season he really stood out, and I'm not saying he didn't last season because he battles a lot of injuries, and I almost think at that position at linebacker that he's too small to play that position, and I could see him better as like a safety or like a free safety or someone where they use him to just come up and blitz versus being in that linebacker position. It kind of reminds me of there's a player, he played at Akron and he got drafted by the Chargers. His name was Jatavis Brown, and he had the same problem. They drafted him, they played him as a linebacker, and he was a exact same build as JOK. And in school, he played as a safety, and that's why he was really good. And I think he's kind of like one of those similar players where I just don't think he's big enough for that linebacker position. And I think there's a durability issue with him playing there. I mean, he's always getting banged up. And and he's a great player. He's really, really fast, but I don't know. I think he would thrive more in that safety, like almost kind of like that, like when we had Peppers. I mean, he was just all over the place.
He was oftentimes so, so all over the place. We didn't know that
He
he was
was
on
way
the
back.
field.
He's playing
Yeah.
30 yards back. I'm not saying like go off there, but I mean there were like that the Denver game when he made the game winning sack. I mean he just shot like right up, and that's what I picture like a player like JOK could really do, and that he would benefit from playing back there.
Do you think with his speed, his instincts, or does he have enough speed? And I know this is lofty status to put him in, but like, okay, could he be an Ed Reed type? Could he be a Troy, a Polamalu type?
Like I was literally about to say like Troy. Like I really think he could.
He's got to get better hair if he's going to be Troy.
Yeah, right. But I mean, yeah, like you just look at them, and I mean, like now these days, like the linebackers are very like athletic, but they're still like bigger, and he's just like a little bit thinner. He's just he's really fast, and I think from a durability standpoint, like that would be better for him.
Right. Do you think that the Browns are going to be able to get Walker back on the field, and how much can that help stabilize the linebacker?
I hope so.
Right. I mean, you got how many people did we have go down injured?
I mean, think about it just as linebackers. We had Walker, and then we had Taki go down,
and Phillips,
and I mean, there's 3 right there, and JOK because he missed the rest of the season.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal. But if you put him, okay, so taking a look at the defensive side of the ball, at least in the linebackers and the secondary, what are we going to do with John Johnson? Is he all bark, no bite?
Yeah.
Is he just like completely overrated, or is it my imagination?
No, I think he's just, I don't know. I don't want to say anything, but I just don't think it's there. I don't think it's what we're looking for.
Yeah, he talks a good game, and you look at it, and you're like, oh yeah, he's talking right. He sounds like a leader out there, but then it's not showing up on the field, or at least not that I can see. And maybe if you go back and you watch like what they have the all 22, or you look at the film, right, and you can really analyze that and do a deep dive into it, you can say, aha, here, he was doing exactly what he was supposed to. And how much of it do you think was, well, let's go a couple of points here that I would say from the defensive coordinator standpoint. One, was the system too complicated and not playing into the strengths of our guys, such as, when Ward could stay on the field because he's got some durability issues himself. But, when you've got guys like Emerson, Newsome, people who can cover, and was it over too complex? A. B, was there not enough accountability because we saw a lot of finger pointing?
Yeah.
It was the Spider-Man meme, they're looking at each other, and it's like, yeah, one of you guys blew this.
Right.
So is it one of those things? Both of those things, or just a combination of those things?
I think because of A, you're gonna get B, right? Because everyone. Oh no, you're supposed to get them. And we saw like a lot of that after big plays where players were just like, "Come on," like and you're just like, Jesus, like what are we doing? Like where is everybody? And I just think I don't know if it was too complicated. I don't know if there was they just were trying to like make it more complicated. So. God only knows, but I mean, you're just like, why? Just don't fix what isn't broke. Just stick to whatever. And then I think you just get it just becomes so complicated and miscommunication that no one knows where they're supposed to be or who they're supposed to pick up. Or are we in zone? Are we in man? Like, what are we doing?
Right. Absolutely. And I think that you can apply this to most things in life. You can apply it to most sports. You can apply, sometimes let's talk about in the kitchen, cooking. You start throwing in too many stupid ingredients, and all of a sudden you ruin the recipe, and it tastes terrible because you thought, oh, I need to spice this up a little bit. Let me make it a little bit this way. And no. Stick with what you know. Keep it simple, and just make it sharp. Yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what they do. If they make any moves in free agency. I know that we're going to be getting going here. We've got the combine, the Senior Bowl, the practices down at the Senior Bowl are going on. I mean, I think we talked about this the other week, but where do we go first? I started thinking, and let me come back to that point and where we go first. From the perspective of what we're doing in the division and the teams we play against, Joe Burrow, obviously everyone is loving that guy, right? This great, big, tall statured pocket passer, everything like that. But do you know why we've had success against him? We've had success against him because we've been able to get pressure on him. And how did the Chiefs succeed against him last week? They put pressure on him.
Yep.
And so I think that with that in mind, I think we can rattle guys like Kenny Pickett. Heck knows if Lamar's ever even going to come back for the Ravens.
Right.
I mean, they're franchise tagging him, right?
Yeah, I mean, even if he does come back, I still think, again, you start to put the pressure on and you get the defensive line play, you have the corners who can cover. Just let them play man and get the defensive line back up to speed. The question is, where can we find that? Is it going to come in the draft, or is it going to come through a free agent that's on the market? And there are very limited ones out there. And I don't know. I mean, the targets I've seen, you guys tell me if I'm missing any. I hear a lot of the Deron Payne from Washington.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've heard Yannick Ngakoue from Indianapolis. Mm-hmm. I don't know. There's not many others that I know of that are out there. Anybody I'm missing?
Maybe Tampa if they do a fire sale on their interior line, Vita Vea or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
If they're over the cap, so they might be in the selling mood without Tom Brady. And if he truly retires.
That guy's done. He was so relieved. He looked like the baby in the corner that's finally using the bathroom. Like, relief or whatever. They've just been on a long road trip or something like that. But I was thinking this, and I tweeted this out yesterday. I think the Buccaneers are going to stink next season, and Todd Bowles, rightly or wrongly, he's going to be a casualty. He's going to be a casualty there. And maybe, who are they going to have playing quarterback? They got Kyle Trask on the roster. So are they going to be, what do you guys think? They're going to be in the Jimmy G sweepstakes? Are they going to try and go after Derek Carr? Could they try it? Would they entertain Baker Mayfield?
They were rumored to like him, right? Weren't they? They were rumored to want him as a backup to Tom Brady to eventually take over. So, I mean, it's not out of the question. Do I think he's the best option on the market for them? Absolutely not. But do I think they might do it? Of course they might.
I think like after them hearing from, was it Shanahan's press conference? Was it yesterday when he was like, no, Jimmy Garoppolo will not be an option next season.
Yeah.
Right. I think that obviously probably goes, all right, well, he's available. And like you said, Derek Carr. But yeah, I mean,
there are some teams out there now. So first of all, we got teams with no coach. Okay. Yeah. Still, the Colts they're going through like their fifth round of interviews or whatever it is. And are basically, from what I'm hearing, they're having to be talked out of like hiring Jeff Saturday as the full-time head coach. Oy vey, what an ordeal that is out there. But the Colts still don't have a coach. I'm trying to think, is there anybody else that's still in the coaching carousel? Carolina hired Reich.
Did Arizona?
Yeah, they're still open, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Arizona is still open. So you got those two out there. And Denver hired Sean Payton. And is is Sean Payton a good enough coach to make it worth their while? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so. Unless he like I don't know. I feel like there too, you have a situation with Wilson, and I don't know how hard he is to coach, or how the dynamic of his personality, but I mean, I feel like that's probably a big deal down there too, or I shouldn't say down there, over there.
out there, out
Yeah,
there,
out there. There we go.
out there.
Sounds a lot.
And it's going to be very interesting, I would say, because down in New Orleans, he obviously took a franchise that was perennially bad and got things turned around. And Drew Brees obviously had a lot to do with that and the development of Drew Brees down there. But I think they were underwhelming. They underperformed with what they had. They never could quite figure it out. Granted, they got screwed in that playoff game with the pass interference. I mean, that was a royal screw job there of epic proportions that no pass interference was called on that. But notwithstanding that, they were underwhelming to have the type of talent they had with that quarterback and couldn't pull it together. And isn't it a great joke that they brought in Joe Woods for an interview or a second interview? It's like, yeah. Good luck. Good
Yeah.
luck down there. So you got that going on it. But again, so Sean Payton, for Denver to give up draft picks for a coach?
No
'Cause
thanks.
Wow.
That's
know
what the
what they're
coach
doing.
doesn't get on the field. The
Right.
coach, if you have no talent, you can have now. So we had this discussion. We're kind of around who's the coach, this, that, and the other. I think in football, you gotta have some talent out on the field there. With the Browns that won, over 2 seasons, 1-31, because we had no talent. We were every week we went into that game outmatched, and there was no amount of coaching could overcome the differential in the talent there. So it's certainly something to watch. I'll be curious out in Arizona. Do we think that Kyler Murray is going to how long, what his longevity in the league is going to be, or is he, does he have durability issues?
I mean, I think with a quarterback like him, and for his size and how much he runs, I think that's gonna be, you're gonna say, well, he's gonna be hurt a lot. But I don't. Do you coach that and say like, hey, you can't do that anymore? I mean, but then. And then you're kind of like, does he do it because he can't see? Like, kind of like the whole Baker Mayfield thing. I mean, he always was rolling out every single time, So, is it just one of those things? But I think with anything like that, I mean, he's for how much he can take off and run, he's a small guy. I mean, that's why Josh Allen can do it. I mean, Josh Allen's a huge dude, and Patrick Mahomes is a huge guy, so they can get away with it. But that, I don't know. He's a shrimp.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Megan. And the thing is, it's like, it's not that I would say, I'm not even saying that he shouldn't do X, Y, and Z and play his game. What I'm saying is, look, this is what he's got to do. And this is how he is successful. However, it leaves him susceptible to these various injuries. And then you start going down you drill down and you look at him as a player and how many hours he's logging on Call of Duty. And the fact that there was that clause last year in the contract with, spending time with the playbook, and that's reason for concern. And I'd be concerned if I'm a coach going in there too, to be quite honest.
It's a red flag for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these guys, geez, Lou, they don't realize what they've got, how good they've got it and how great it is. Thinking about the Cardinals, and someone who was formerly or is a free agent now was with the Cardinals, is a name that has been rumored in connection with the Browns, DeAndre Hopkins. I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. I want to know what you guys think. But my thought is, I believe he's 29. He's had a number of injuries. He's not the same dude he was even 3-4 years ago with the Texans. I'm sure he's good, but these guys hit a certain point and they lose a step, and they're not going to be able to take the top off the defense and do the things that you are hoping or think they can do based upon past performance. It's just a sad fact of life. We get older, unless you're like LeBron or, for that matter, Tom Brady. And Tom Brady overcame the physical aspect of it. And decline, as Bill Belichick once famously said about Bernie Kosar, he had diminishing physical skills. Never to be forgotten. Those words uttered will never be forgotten in Cleveland sports history. Diminishing physical skills. But like, I'm like, yeah, I think we could find someone younger and better out there. I saw some names like, would you take Tyler Lockett? He's been a pretty reliable receiver. Trying to think who else I saw on the list of potential wide receivers, and who knows what's going to be available in the draft. What do you guys think about this whole, everyone who talks about DeAndre Hopkins and the connection with Deshaun Watson?
I'm gonna gear more towards like what you said about, he's older. I think of it as kind of like a Jarvis Landry situation where he was great. And we got like 2 or 3 seasons of that greatness. But I mean, I don't, he's older now. He's not as quick. He's hurt all the time and whatever. And I just think, like you kind of alluded to, he's just probably not in that prime of what we remember him when he was with Watson in Houston. And that's what you want, but do you want to risk that, like, when you could possibly get someone,
Right.
That's more in their prime, or like young, I think there's probably like other guys out there. I was even like weary about the whole like Amari Cooper, but I mean, obviously after this season, he came in clutch many times. I'm okay with it, but yeah, I mean, like, just kind of like that. And
yeah, absolutely. Madison, what do you think about the Hopkins thing?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I want a veteran, whether it's him or not. I don't know necessarily. I don't think I want to go through the draft just because I think you got some young guys last year that maybe could, be the last guy on the roster. And it's a little bit crowded to draft another rookie, I think. Unless like Josh Downs, for example, falls to you in the second round, like that's a different story. I think that maybe you take a flyer on him. He's quick. He's a little bit maybe durability issues, so like maybe you consider it. But he's one of the ones that I would take that I think still like a top talent at wide receiver, because you can get that level of production out of your second round pick. In some cases, if you draft well, have we done that? Not necessarily, but it's possible. But yeah, I mean, I think I want someone with some sort of veteran presence that's like been there, done that kind of situation, but also not necessarily on their way like out of the, on that downward slope with their career, where they're getting older and they're not producing as much. Kind of getting someone on the up and coming, maybe that's got some speed. That's not Anthony Schwartz, maybe.
Yes, I agree. Hey, got a couple questions here. Glad to have someone tuning in. K-pop says, who's winning the Super Bowl? All right, so let's address the Super Bowl question here. We got the Eagles, we got the Chiefs, and I'm happy about that matchup. Honestly, I mean, I think that's yeah, that was kind of my thing. As long as it was ABC, anybody but Cincinnati for me is the way I was feeling about it. I don't know who I think. I think the fact that, and granted, it's a 2-week turnaround. I don't know what the health of Mahomes is going to be because he clearly wasn't 100%. That
Yeah.
impacted things, and they had to change their game plan, which they successfully did. Um, Philadelphia,
They had some like defensive guys go down too, I think, right? I
I'd have to look
think
back.
they had like two, and I don't know. I don't think they played the rest of the game, but they got pretty
You're right,
banged up.
Snead.
Yes.
They lost Snead within like the first few minutes of the game, and that was a big deal. That was a big deal. Um, I mean, I'll tell you this. Okay, who's going to win? I think that I'm rooting for Kansas City, honestly. Um, but I think that Philadelphia will win. What do you guys got? Madison?
I don't think I'll bet against Mahomes. I will trust him. Although the Eagles are very good, they haven't lost many games. Their defense is good. I just think Mahomes gets it done. I think they probably ride that trash talk from Cincinnati all the way to a Super Bowl.
Megan?
I'm gonna go Eagles.
All right, gonna go Eagles. All right, K-pop. Another question, and this goes. We're gonna go back to the Browns here, and this is an interesting one.
Ugh.
On Kareem, keep or trade. I've got my thoughts. I'm gonna let you guys go ahead and share your thoughts first.
I'm gonna. As much as I hate to say this, I'm gonna say trade. I think it's been done. I think the whole thing has just been kind of just the season was like, hey, we're just gonna wait till you're done and we'll go from there. It was exciting. I loved the concept. I loved like when it worked, but I mean, again, he's got to be one of the most like frustrating players of talent that we've had, and you're just like, why? Like, what happened?
Absolutely, Madison, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he's a free agent, right? Technically, is he a free agent?
I think.
Yeah, I mean, you probably let him walk. I mean, if the price is right, absolutely bring him back. But like the chances the price is going to be right for what he probably wants is, if that were the case and we could match what he wants, we probably would have gotten it done already. So I'm assuming the answer is no. But yeah, I mean, I think to Megan's point, he kind of fell off a cliff almost in terms of production. He wasn't great last year, and I don't really know if that had more to do with like the line not being super healthy. And their decline a bit in the second half of the year, if it was really just him not hitting holes. Obviously Nick Chubb did fine. But it's a complicated situation because he's a hometown kid. Like you want to bring him and keep him, and you would want that, but it's just you got to get the production out of him. We're not exactly getting that right now. So I say you probably let him walk.
Right. I'm going to have to agree. And so the first thing is I'm going to go, I'll answer our first question, our thoughts on Kareem. B, then I'm going to come around and I'm going to go to the answer it in layman's terms, for Mason who doesn't understand football. And that's all good. No problem. We are, whether you're a sports, genius or you're a sports novice, we're here for all that. It's all good. We've got good lowbrow humor. It's fantastic. No, look, I think that obviously, like you said, Madison, Kareem is a free agent. I think we're going to let him walk. We've got Jerome Ford. Clearly throughout last season, I don't know what Kevin was thinking, honest to goodness, considering the fact that if you're going to let him walk anyway,
yeah,
like he's got plenty of tread left on the tires, and simply sticking him in there on every third down, and they know you're going to try and throw a screen pass to him is useless. Everybody can see it coming a million miles away. It's ridiculous. And so from that standpoint, I'm like, I think they completely screwed the pooch on that one last year. I mean, Dearness Johnson was a healthy scratch the entire season. We had Demetric Felton running around in circles. Not so good here. So I do question the strategy, and the philosophy on why we didn't put Chubb and Hunt together in the backfield, especially I think with Watson needing to get him settled down. It really, some of it didn't make
Yeah.
sense, and I'm going to be very curious what a full off season does for them. And so, to the explanation of football in layman's terms, uh, Hunt didn't play well. He didn't do anything. And so when a person is not producing and you can replace them with someone younger and better, you do. I guess that's my layman's explanation. Um, and let's see. Mason is only watching because he thinks Megan is pretty. Is she single? Whoop, whoop. Here we go.
Oh man, put me on the spot.
Dang. All right. Are we playing The Bachelor here? Is this
I don't know. I am not. So, but thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it.
All right.
A lot of good questions.
These are
waving them away.
Whoa, this is exciting. This is fantastic. Yeah, I think that's a good question there. So, all right. Now, as you're not single, did you vet your significant other to make sure that they know who to root for and who to cheer for?
A little bit, not really though. I feel like we both like we're both like on the same page a lot. So like we're always both like, all right, like who we taking? So luckily that's good.
That's very important to
like it's not like one of those things where it's like, oh, like they hate the Browns and I'm like a Browns like nut. So
exactly.
It works out very well.
That could be a deal breaker. That could certainly be a deal breaker when you enter into these, these bonding deals. I was fortunate to have someone, my wife being neutral and having no rooting interest. So I was able to take that. In fact, we even found the sweatshirt, for her to wear that says, I married into this. So let's see. First of all, we got this is even better. This is beautiful. Well, first of all, K-pop here commenting thoughts on Steelers. Well, I think that's pretty obvious. They stink. They're the yeah. We all agree on that. They stink. No good. But then Mason commenting, I like them better because better in black and yellow. Orange makes me look like a prisoner. Steelers greater than Browns for that reason. Oh, well, that's a harsh no anyway. I'm going to answer no on Megan's behalf. Can't have
that. That's rough. I don't know. I can't get on board with that.
Yeah, we cannot have that. Funny.
And I will like call out. So my boss is a crazy Steeler fan.
Oh,
yeah. And I remember the last game, our last game of the season. I work remote, so we have like Microsoft team meetings, and it was the Friday before the game, and there was no worse thing than hopping on a Teams call, and she was just sporting this giant Pittsburgh Steelers shirt and was like full blown throwing it in everyone's face of how much she loved the Steelers and how they were going to kick our butt. And I felt like an idiot because they came and whooped us.
Yeah, that was really bad. I mean, I guess Kevin really should have been excited that he was able to get back on the bus and didn't follow in the footsteps of like Romeo Crennel.
Right.
Do you remember that game? We had Bruce Gradkowski at quarterback due to all the injuries. I mean, this is my argument about the the famous jersey with all the quarterbacks' names. And I don't know if you agree or not, but I'm like, yeah, it's kind of funny. Ha 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 ha. We've had all these starting quarterbacks, but how many of these guys were starting quarterbacks because of injuries? It wasn't like we couldn't make up our mind, although I think we might have had a season where that was going on, where there was some the Hoyer Manziel. There might have been some other situations. Kevin Hogan. Did we have Connor Shaw start a game? I think we had Connor Shaw start a game. But
Yeah.
I think
the point being, not all of those.
I also remember when we picked up the trick shot guy.
Yes.
I forget his name, but he would do all those crazy, like, oh, whatever. What a zoo.
Yeah, absolutely a zoo. All right, Mason's chiming in here again. Let's talk about Mason. Let's find out what Mason has to say here. All right, apparently Steelers greater than Browns, also because they sport. Yeah, I don't know that.
I don't know.
I don't know the symbol, so you're gonna. I'm sorry, Mason. My bad. I'm not hip. And speaking of hip,
I can't. I would never say that the Steelers are better than the Browns. So
yeah, that's not happening. That is not happening. We were talking about Madison and I don't know about you, Megan, but last week we were having a discussion about getting old. Because I referenced to some college age, and younger 20s students, the band Rage Against the Machine.
Mm-hmm.
And they had no idea who Rage Against the Machine is. And then I just saw that they were on the list of the nominees for the Rock Hall, which is awesome. But I'm like, it's just funny how I was just talking about them and realizing I am old. Did you guys see that list? Any favorites on there? We Willie Nelson fans? Yeah.
I could jam to a few Willie Nelson tunes.
Nice. I'm a big fan. And then, what's funny is you go from Willie Nelson to Missy Elliott.
Yeah. That's more my generation, I feel like, than Willie.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I don't know. I'm like a total old soul when it comes to music. So it's like, I don't know. No one likes any of the music I listen to.
What do you listen to?
Man, I'm like, it's wild. Like, I will jam out to like ELO. Like,
how can you not go with ELO?
I know, right? Like, and then I'll randomly like get into like a disco vibe, and I'll just like jam out to like Earth, Wind, and Fire. Like,
yeah,
everything.
Absolutely.
I got like Donna Summer. Like, got some.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. You never know when you're going to need to go to 70s on 7 or
right?
classic vinyl.
Oh my gosh.
That's
I would have thrived like on an episode of Soul Train.
Nice. Well, I was thinking about Soul Train. And wait, let's see. What do we got here? K-pop chiming in. Favorite ABBA song. All right. Are we going Dancing Queen? What are we going? What do we got for your favorite ABBA song?
I'd have to go like Dancing Queen or like, I don't know, like Super Troop, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I know the songs, but if I heard it, I'm like, oh yeah. But Dancing Queen is the first one that came to mind. Yeah, I remember Saturday nights I used to drive around with my best friend Griff, and we'd be just cruising around Canton, doing a loop, listening to some 70s music on Saturday. Boy, we were winners. We were winners. Lots to do. Lots to do up there. It was good times. It was great times. But yeah, so turning back to sports, and this is just a general question here because I was thinking about this, Madison, with you in mind. And our, kind of our ongoing coaching discussions in this area. You are in a basketball mecca in North Carolina with the Tar Heels and the Blue Devils.
Not this year, but usually, yes.
Not usually.
We're both bad this year.
Right.
Carolina.
Historically.
Yeah.
And you've got these situations where all of a sudden the Hall of Fame legend coach is no longer there. Mm-hmm. And then for whatever reason, the team has a drop off. How is that possible? Is it really the coaching that makes that much of a difference?
Yeah, I mean, I do think it makes a good amount of difference, but I think maybe where it hits home the most, and especially college, is recruiting. Like, you're not getting the same caliber guys with an unproven coach that you are with someone who's been there for 15, 20, 30, however many years, like a Coach K or a Coach Roy Williams. But I think both schools are kind of experiencing that a little bit. I mean, obviously, you got talented guys, like technically speaking, you got 4 and 5 star recruits, and part of it is like evaluating whether those guys are really the guys. Like just because they're 5 stars doesn't mean they're the right guys for your program, and that's not always the case. Like I think Carolina's really dropped off in particular. I'm a Carolina fan. They haven't had really a pass first point guard in forever. I mean, it feels like since Kendall Marshall, really. Like we've got a couple guys that are score first, and that's not really been the MO of Carolina through the years that I've known and loved them. And I'm a point guard at heart. I'm a pass first point guard at heart. And I was talking about this with someone that I went to school with the other day. It's a little bit different when you've got a guy who's looking to score all the time versus someone who's looking to pass and set up their teammates.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And so K-pop chimes in here. Appreciate it. Tomorrow, huge game at the Jar. Got Kent State versus Akron. Battle atop the MAC. And K-pop says asks who's winning. And K-pop says go Zips. And I know, Megan, as discussed last time, and your loyalties there, lie with the Zips. And obviously I'm going to be in the corner for Kent State. But like you look at coaches that have been so successful at Kent State and at Akron and at other MAC schools, whether it's in football or in basketball, you get one run of success and then they snatch you up, and the schools like Kent, Akron, and others from the MAC can't pay them. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously you got Akron's got John Gross, correct?
Yep.
Former Ohio U coach, and he basically OU had a successful run with Trent in the maybe it was Gary Trent Jr. into the or somebody else into the the second round of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
And then he boinked up, left, it didn't work out. I think it
he went to Illinois.
I thought it was just Illinois. I think
Illinois. Sorry,
I think it's okay. I think he went to Illinois and wasn't successful, and now he's at Akron. I mean, look at guys like Dambrot, being at Duquesne, and that thing we talked about. Madison and I talked about that a little bit last week. That ridiculousness with the guy in the stunt coming on
the food delivery dude.
The food delivery dude. I went off on that because that's just crazy. And this whole idea of I'm going to make myself famous. I'm going to go out here and act a fool. You're not good enough. You're not Jackass. You're not Johnny Knoxville or Steve O. Okay. You're not an impractical joker. So you need to come down off your high horse and stop worrying about your clickbait there and go away. Okay. Because that's just kind of messed up. And he'd be the guy that would be running out on the field and get tackled and then try and file a lawsuit against the person who tackled him. But I don't know. I think it's a toss-up tomorrow, Megan.
Yeah, I think it's always a toss-up. It doesn't matter if you're home. I mean, obviously Kent swept Akron last year, and then Akron beat them in the championship game. I don't know. It's always, I mean, those games go down to the last second.
Yeah, absolutely. And last year, if you recall, going in from between the semifinal and the final, the championship, guys, immaturity showed in the Kent State locker room, and they suspended Malik Jacobs for a half. And I'm not sure. I don't think he was the only one that got suspended for the first half, and that made a huge difference. Mm-hmm. I watched Kent State. I've been watching them. They've been on ESPNU and on I watch them on ESPN Plus, and I mean, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens. And I haven't seen much of Akron, so I feel like I'm not qualified to speak on that as well. Okay, so crazy stories working for either school. Well, I didn't officially, so I'll go first in that I didn't officially, other than being a student there, I never was an employee of Kent State, just a student there. but and I told my story last time Megan was on at Ray's, and that was not so fun. But I do remember before I was an actual college student, I had from the Stark campus of Kent State, I had a student ID because I was taking college courses there during my senior year of high school. So I do recall going up with a group of friends before I actually started college, using my ID, getting into Screwy Louie's. Some Screwy Louie's action there. That was good times. And there might have been a party over at Holly Park that I attended with my brother and his friends. There may have been a keg. It may not have been good. And it may have resulted in some video footage of me later on. I don't know where the tape is. I'm hoping it's destroyed somewhere. Um, Megan, you worked there. Anything to add to that? Any crazy stories for you?
Oh yeah. All right. It was when I was the SID for men's basketball at Kent State. I will not
No names,
repeat
please.
names of players, but it was the final game of the season. It was at Kent State, and they were playing Akron, and it was for I believe it was for like the I want to say 2 or 3 seeds to get
Okay.
into the tournament. We both teams had already clinched.
Right.
Akron would have possibly won the regular season anyway. So it was like a 9 o'clock game. It was on CBS Sports.
Right.
And they bring in their talent, and the talent comes in during practice to talk to the coaches, get a lay down, whatever. So they get through, walk through, and whatever. And then I get a call probably 2 hours before tip off of the game to come into our AD's office, and I go, okay. And they sit us down, and they sit me and the play-by-play guy down, Ty Linder at the time, and they go, such and such, who is our star player, will not be playing tonight, along with two other of our starters, because there's a video circulating around the web of them that a fight broke out on students.
Goodness.
And I go, okay, great. I have CBS Sports here. How do you want me to handle this? And the response that we were supposed to tell them as to why these players were dressed in street clothes and sitting behind the bench was, they're just not playing tonight. So, basically they said don't tell them anything until up to like close to tip off. And I go, listen, I got to tell them something. I mean, our 3 starters aren't playing, and it's the game of the season.
Right.
And I mean, it was a cluster. And I feel like when I was the SID with Kent State, literally was always put in these situations. There was another situation for the tournament, and one of our star players again would not be playing. And I mean, it was almost expected at that point. So I would say that it brings up a lot of laughs for tomorrow, because everyone always brings up, hey, remember when you had to deal with that? And I go, sure do.
That wasn't very funny when I was dealing with.
Right.
It's interesting. When I was working for the Stater, I became friends with some of because I was covering the women's soccer team. I became friends with a couple of players, and happened to see them around campus. And I was turning 21 or whatever. I forget, or maybe no, I don't know. It was somebody's birthday party. Anyway, we were having a party at our apartment. It's kind of funny. The places I lived on campus, I don't know. First I lived in Terrace Hall. That's got torn down. Then I lived on South Lincoln Street next to the Delta Upsilon house. And that house is destroyed. It was gone. Thank God. It was not good. But funny enough, I had a couple people over, and they were just talking and telling me, hey, such and such and such and such. A couple people got caught drinking underage. and one of my roommates was the editor of the Stater, and he comes to me and says, "So, are you going to do a story on it? Are you going to investigate it?" I was like, "No, I will not." Wait, other going on, but I was like, "I'll die on that sword. I'm not. I'm on that hill. I'm not. doing it. I'm not ratting anybody out. I'm not. I'm like, this is completely off the record, and for you guys to do that, for you to expect me to do that's kind of messed up. If you see it somewhere, fine, but that's kind of jacked up. So, yeah, that's not a good position to be in to have to report on these guys. I don't know. Now, Madison, Randolph-Macon being a much smaller school, and there still is the Greek life, the fraternities, the sororities, and stuff. Did you guys, was there that crossover between athletics and the social life, whether during the season or after the season there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think we had a good time. I'm not going to say we did not. I won't implicate anyone, of course. Coach LaHaye could be listening. You never know.
Yep. No names, please.
We cannot risk it. But no, I mean, we had we had a good amount of my teammates actually were in a sorority that ended up getting kicked off campus for various reasons, unproven. I'm sure that it's unproven why they got kicked off. And I was getting surgery during that time, so I wasn't even on campus. But I know that we had a pizza party because Coach LaHaye felt really bad that all of my teammates were sad that their sorority got kicked off campus and we didn't even practice. So that was a win for all of us, I think.
Hey, pizza party. Yeah, pizza party. That's always good. That is always positive. So, I was thinking about this morning on my drive in, thinking about, all right, what can we bring to the show today in our Yay or Oy Vey segment? And I thought about different stadiums and things that are done traditionally at the various stadiums. So I want to go on a stadium theme, Yay or Oy Vey, of stadium anthems, things that are done on the regular. So my first yay or oy vey to the crowd here is we are going to do yay or oy vey on House of Pain jump around in between at the end of the third quarter before the fourth quarter at Wisconsin Camp Randall. Madison, would you please enlighten us first? Yay or oy vey?
I will say yay, but not for Wisconsin. I'll say jump around for Carolina. We also do that before tip off, and it's a good time. So I will say yay for that reason, not for Wisconsin.
All right. Megan, what about you?
I would say yay. I think that stuff is like so cool. I think it's wild. Like when they like show it like on like a prime night game, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna go yay just because I love House of Pain as well. I'm also a big House of Pain guy. I mean that, putting that on in the car, you might see me gyrating and gesturing in the car, and it's something that if anybody were to capture on video, it would not. It might break the internet for look at this idiot. All right, okay. Moving to another Big Ten school. How do we feel about and now this is ridiculous that it is actually I'm having a brain cramp as to the name of the song that Zombie Nation that they dance to at Penn State. Zombie Nation still yay or oy vey, Megan?
Yeah, I'll say that's cool. Why not?
All right, fair enough. That's a short, sweet, and to the point here. And K-pop, Madison, are you single?
I'm not, sorry to say.
All right, and there we have it. Very nice. Okay, Madison, yay or oy vey on Zombie Nation?
I'll go yeah. I mean, I like all school traditions. I can't hate on anyone. Like, if you have a cool school tradition that you do, like, by all means, do it. I'm all for it. Let's get the crowd going. I'm a yay.
All right. I'm an oy vey on this just because I don't like Penn State. No, I mean, I enjoy the combination, but I'm like, all right, enough. I've had enough of Penn State because I think they're overrated. You don't deserve it.
Yeah,
You
that's
don't
fair.
deserve it. Franklin, get out of there. Come on now. I mean, you got what's his name? Is that Key or Peel? Whoever can look as a lookalike, he can coach as well as you can. Get out of here with that nonsense. Okay. And last one. This one is going an oldie but a goodie here, a classic. Are we yay or oy vey on the Boston Red Sox and Sweet Caroline Madison?
I feel like that's like the one I'll be oy vey on because it's like everybody's thing. Sweet Caroline gets played everywhere. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm not old enough to know Boston had it first, but it's everybody's song. So for that reason, I'll say oy vey.
All right, Megan, yay or oy vey on Sweet Caroline?
I would have to say yay.
You're an old soul.
I am. I feel, and like my dad from Boston loves the Red Sox. He had like season tickets. Like I feel like that's where it like originated. So I gotta go with it.
All right, fair enough. I'm gonna go. I am gonna be a sentimental yay on that, just because I think that's Neil Diamond. I mean, it's good music. It's just good music here. We could go down a bunch of rabbit holes, but I mean, I'll tell you what. I was hearing some DMX Party Up in the car, and I don't know about you, but I was getting pumped up. I was just getting pumped up. What would you rather have? Would you rather have at tip-off of a basketball game? Do you want, and hear this in different arenas. You got Start Me Up or Jump from the Rolling Stones or Jump from Van Halen.
I would go Van Halen.
And Madison, any preference there? Do you want to go Start Me Up?
I can't say I can give an opinion because I don't know if I know any of those songs off the top of my head.
Man.
Ouch. Ouch.
Sorry, I apologize. My dad is disappointed in me. I can feel it from here.
Yeah, I am hurting on that note. Now, okay. Now, I was going to ask you about this, Madison, since you've been incorporated into the Akron, Northeast Ohio thing. Mm-hmm. Where do we stand on Swenson's? Because I saw Zach Jackson on Swenson's not being as good as it used to be.
And I agree with that.
Oh, this is tough. This is a tough one because I know my brother, every time, even now, he goes through town from Toledo, he goes through Akron, he stops by Swenson's, gets himself a big galley boy. Where do you think the drop-off is? Is it in the quality of the food, or was it never that good?
So I literally live like 5 minutes from the original Swenson's, and
oh wow,
yeah, I used to go there a lot, and I feel like now they've like opened so many like locations, and I think like they're kind of just like I don't know, but I don't know if the quality has gone down, but man, I just remember it used to be so good. And now I'm like, I could do without it.
Oh, no good. Now, Madison, what about your dad? Is he a big Swenson's guy?
Yeah, I think it's the nostalgia for us. Like anytime we're in Ohio, there's like a handful of places we absolutely have to hit up. Swenson's is one of them. Fiesta Pizza and Chicken is another one. And then Strickland's frozen custard is.
Strickland's. I know. I was not, around or local to the Strickland's. I'm trying to think. Does Strickland's have... no, I'm thinking of Stoddard's in Kent, not Strickland's, but I know Strickland's as well.
Yeah.
I'm about going to Canton, going to Taggart's or Milk and Honey. Those are some great places for ice cream. Those are really good places for ice cream there. So on that note, I want to just switch gears here real quick and turn to our theme of our show, our title, Going nuCLEar. And our going nuCLEar topics of the week. Megan, I don't know if you had a chance to think or anything that you'd like to add or prepare to your going nuCLEar, or if anything driving you nuts this week. And feel free to pass. It's okay.
No. I feel like I have like a lot. I feel like this week I've just been annoyed about everything.
Yeah.
I won't like say like call anyone else specific. So I'll go the general route. I get really annoyed when you are in like a grocery store parking lot and people like can't return the carts.
Yes,
And like
it is on the list.
I went. I don't know. I think I was at Giant Eagle on like Monday, and it was like in the evening, and like it looked like there was like a windstorm that like blew car, and I'm like, what is it? Like, you're already up, like just push the cart back. All right.
Yeah, people who don't return their cards to the cart
like
corral.
come on, or like I don't know. So like I always like if I even like pass one, I'll just bring it with me and put it back.
Yeah, that absolutely is that big going nuCLEar topic there. But I do have to say, some stores have it coming to them. They don't have enough cart corrals available, and then you get stuck in the position of you're like, all right, am I closer to the cart corral as close to that as I am to having to walk all the way back into the store? But I hear you. That is a good point. Good point, and appreciate you you joining in there, Megan, with your going nuCLEar take there. Madison, what's got you going nuCLEar this week?
Yeah, I feel like I have to go with the relatively simple one, which is like the Browns' typical shenanigans bleeding into the Cavs shenanigans. Like, it's not the same. It's not the same. We need to separate the two and give the Cavs, a little bit of a break. Like, they're way ahead of schedule for what they should be. And to quote the great Taylor Swift, as I must, is, she says that I was so ahead of the curve became a spear, and I ended up, behind all my classmates, that kind of situation. And I think people are feeling like we're behind schedule when really we're way ahead of schedule. Like, it's still a really, really young core. And right now we're up by 20 without Mitchell, who got kicked out earlier. I don't know if you have the game on, he got tossed. Which is not great, but we're doing okay. So all in all, it's okay. A little bit soft of a toss, from what I could see out of the peripheral. But, bottom line is, like, you got to trust the process. It is a process. Like, the Cavs will get there. It's not going to be like a championship year right away. I mean, maybe it could be. I'm not going to write them off, but they have a little bit of ways to go, and they have to get some playoff experience under their belt. A lot of the teams above them have that experience, and we just don't. And it's about getting that experience. And I think we got to give them a little bit of time to kind of get that.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. And I agree. We talked about it earlier, trying not to let my bias and my experience with the Browns bleed over into the coaching discussions and the harsh and rash fire JB tweets. I did want to.
A lot of negativity out there.
Yeah,
a lot of negativity.
I did want to give credit. First of all, before I go to my going nuCLEar topic, want to thank K-pop. Want to thank Mason Yoder for joining in the show and commenting. And K-pop did add that they would go with Van Halen back to our earlier discussion. And now here's the question, Megan.
Yeah.
And I'm going to direct this to you. Are we talking Sammy Van Halen or David Lee Roth Van Halen?
Oh, that's tough because I do like Sammy. I'll go the shit. Sorry, I probably
no, these things
my
happen.
bad. I'll go with Sammy. We'll go Sammy.
You're going Sammy. I'm going David Lee Roth. That guy kicked butt, man. And the way he wore the pants and no shirt. I mean, come on now. How can you not love that? I mean, the videos he was in the late 80s and stuff were fantastic.
I don't know. I like Sammy's tequila brand that he has out.
Oh, you like the Cabo Wabo?
Yeah, there we go.
Little Cabo Wabo for you there.
Yeah.
And Sammy is good as Elmo's father on Sesame Street. He does do a good voice on Sesame Street. So yeah, I agree there. All right. So what has me going nuCLEar was something that happens every winter around here down south. And Madison, you experience it down here. You probably experience it down in North Carolina as well. The phenomenon of people with the wiper blades up because it starts snowing. Yeah, it's a myth. All right. It's been proven. The mechanics have said it. It does more harm than good to put your windshield wipers up when it starts snowing. A. B. This morning was light flurries. It wasn't sticking to the road. The high was 45 today, folks. It wasn't going to pile up on your car. So to go to those lengths just show that you're completely unaware, oblivious to the situation, and you got to get a clue. You just got to get a clue. And I really wish someone could explain to these folks that, hey, look, putting the windshield wipers up isn't really helping your cause. I feel like at some point I'm going to have to confront someone and say, yeah, at least in a joking way, maybe I can mock them. I try and go the comedic approach to insulting somebody. That's generally my sad attempt there, but these things happen. So today, this morning's snow and the antics with the wipers, that has me going nuclear. And it's crazy. We got so wrapped up in everything we talked about. We didn't even talk about the all-star snub here for Darius Garland, Jared Allen, etc. We'll have to save that for next time. I cannot wait for next time. We'll have to talk some more Kent Akron here. We are hopeful. We had a little bit of a change here today. Hopefully Trevor Huffman will be able to join us next time and share some stories. And Megan, were you aware? I just learned this, that were you familiar with John Wharton?
I was. I saw. Yeah, I saw that. That's
passed
crazy.
away.
Yeah.
I mean, what, 40? He's the same age as I am. I mean, maybe one class year ahead of me. I don't know the circumstances or anything of that nature, but it sure does. John Wharton, a former Kent State basketball player, was on that first group that beat Wally Zerbiak in the MAC tournament and went to Kent State's first NCAA tournament bid. Passed away a few days ago. And it's really crazy how fast time flies. And, really one day it's all good. The next day it isn't. And you never know when it's going to be your time. So, yeah, tough stuff there. I'll be interested. I didn't really even read it in like the Cleveland newspaper. I only knew of it through the Vine there. And, I was shocked. But folks, want to thank everybody for listening. K-pop, Mason, thank you for your comments and tuning in. We appreciate it. It added to the debate and the discussion there. Megan, thank you so much for joining us. Madison, as always, a pleasure. Enjoy the conversation, the debate here. And want to thank Craig Fountain. Want to thank Buzz Sports CLE, who we are presented by. And we will be back next week with another big show. Hopefully we'll have some, more answers, more questions, and lots of fun stuff to talk about. Once again, this is Going nuCLEar. I am Ethan Greenberg. You can follow me on Twitter at egreen4325. You can follow Madison at madtravels24. Follow Megan Donovan, Megan D44. Megan, superstar. Madison, superstar. Love you guys. And follow the show on Twitter at Going nuCLEar CLE. Please subscribe on YouTube. Share with your friends. Let them know we're on. We've got what I think is pretty comprehensive program here, touching on a lot of things. And we didn't even touch on the fact that Chris Holtman got booted out of the game at Wisconsin tonight. Yeah, that's not looking good. I'm really, really hoping that maybe the Buckeyes can even get. I'll take 1 year Bronny. Give me 1 year Bronny.
You might get it.
That would be phenomenal if we could get that. So once again, want to thank everybody for tuning in. Want to thank Megan. Want to thank Madison. And as I mentioned before, presented by Buzz Sports CLE. Thank Craig Fountain for letting us be on the air. And that is going to do it. I'm Ethan Greenberg. You've been watching Going nuCLEar, full-blown coverage of the land.